So you really had never heard the term whiz quiz before?
That I have not. No, sir.
I'm having a very hard time believing this. Have you ever gone in for one?
Oh, yes, several times.
Okay.
Yeah, places of employment with the boat. I'm in a random program. Mm-hmm. I've had the original plus, was it November? I think I got called, or September or something.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is what it is.
So I go in for a whiz quiz, in case anybody doesn't know what that is. Drug test, obviously.
Goes by a variety of other names.
Yeah. I go in because we're going over to a job site at work that we have to pass this 10-panel background, drug test, and then there's a bunch of other background stuff.
Wait, you can pass a background check?
Depends on the day. No.
Depends how many other states they look into.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So I go in there, and it's towards the city. The place is packed. There's like 45 people in there.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And
I've never seen more than 2 in front of me.
Yeah, it's like an occupational health type place, And so I'm in there, and I had 2 interesting things happen. So the first thing that happens, actually, I'll tell you about the first thing, and then we'll roll into the next thing here.
Sounds good.
But so the first thing, I'm sitting there, and this guy looks over at me, and he's like probably 17 years old, maybe 18, really young kid. And he's sitting there with probably, I'm assuming, with his girlfriend or something. And he looks over at me, and he's like, "Hey, man, so how's this work?" And I says, "What do you mean, how's this work? This whole drug test thing works." And I says, "Well, you go in there and you pee in a cup, and they test you for drugs."
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so can they tell the difference between girl pee and guy pee?
Oh, God.
So, of course, at this point, I'm going to mess with them. So I looked right at him, and I'm like, "Well, yeah." I says, "You've never had one of these before?" I said, "Obviously." I says, "They can tell the difference between girl pee and guy pee." And I says,
"I got a great one for you."
And they can tell you what age you are, what race you are, all that. And he's just like, he didn't know what to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, his eyes got just so big. And I don't know, that poor kid, I don't know what he had up his sleeve. So then I said to him, I said, "What, are you trying to try something to pass this or whatever?" No. It's like, dude, I don't care, man, whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right. We got some things to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's time to hit the trail, lock in those hubs, and throw it into low range. Because you are listening to Wheelin' with Keith and Johnny Orange, broadcasting from the Thin Line Off-Road Studio. They're here to talk about 4x4s, trucks, and everything to do with enjoying the great outdoors. Buckle up. Here's your hosts, Keith and Johnny Orange.
So going on into that, all right. So, like I said, that kid was just, I don't know what happened with him. Mm-hmm. But, so I'm sitting there, same place, and I hear, "Keith," okay. Mm-hmm. I get up, and I start walking. I go and I walk right behind the door there, and the lady looks at me and she says, all right, follow me, Mr. Johnson. And I says, "Johnson?" No, I says, "My name's Keith Codette." And she goes, "No, I need Keith Johnson." And I says, "Oh, well, that's not me." So I turn around, and she opens the door, and we apparently have been talking loud enough that this other guy comes up. Mm-hmm. I'm obviously a very big white guy. This big black guy comes walking up, and she's like, "Keith Johnson's like," he's like, "Yeah," and he looks at me. He's like, "Hey, Keith, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, Keith,"
That's awesome.
So I go and I sit down. So like 15 minutes later, finally the lady comes back out, and she's like, "Hey, Keith," and I said, "All right." So I get up. I walk up. It's a different lady, by the way.
Nice.
But because it's a real busy place. And
yeah.
I walk up and I get behind the door, and she says, "All right, Mr. Keith," I think it was Atherton or something like that. And I says, "No, Keith Codette." And she's like, "No." So I turn around, go back out the door. This time, young black guy. He's like, "Hey, Keith." I'm like, "How you doing, Keith?"
That is awesome.
Yeah. Finally, third time was the charm. They had the right Keith. So
That's awesome. Did you confirm that time before you got up to walk in? Like, you mean Keith Codet this time,
I
right?
did. Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm kind of figuring. I mean, I'm surprised the universe didn't like collapse in on itself with 3 Keiths in the same room.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the old show Lucifer?
No.
So I used to watch that. I only watched the first couple of seasons, but there was one where I just laughing hysterically because he said something along the lines of, "You can always trust so and so, but never trust a Keith."
Nice.
Okay, you had something you were going to say, John?
Yeah. So a buddy of mine was a foreman on a job, and everybody had to do a drug test.
Okay.
Well, he got them all back and had to dismiss a significant number of employees. And then he calls one employee in and he says, just need to let you know you passed the drug test and congratulations, you're pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
And he said the guy got extremely red in the face. Says, I'll be right back. I have to make a phone call. He says, I know I'm fired, but I'll be right back. It was his daughter's.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell this story, but since we're right on it, years ago, I had a friend, and I'm not going to say a name here, but I had a friend. He had one of those names that could go either way, male, female name. He gets a call one day. Is this blah, blah, blah? Yes, it is. We need you to come into the office. We have to talk to you about some stuff. And it was doctor's office. He had just gone in for doctor's, like annual physical kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you can just, and he didn't have like a super deep voice, kind of like me. My voice can get deep sometimes, but I mean, I have a pretty
girlish voice. Yeah, we know.
Oh, okay, girlish voice. There you go. So he's talking to this person on the phone, and the person on the phone is like, no, we really need you to come in. And finally he says, I'm not coming. You need to tell me what you need to tell me right now. He goes, I have crappy insurance. You need to tell me right now, or I'm not making the appointment. So finally the receptionist on the other end says, okay, well, that we have 2 things. Your blood work got back, and he's like, okay. You have sickle cell anemia, and you're pregnant. And he was like, okay, first of all, I'm a white dude. Sickle cell anemia is a black person thing. I mean, it's not 100% impossible, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
And he says, first of all, I'm a white dude. And second of all, I'm a dude. And the lady on the other end of the phone's like, oh, this is not so-and-so, so-and-so. No, that's a different last name. Yeah, you got the wrong one.
Wow.
Good luck to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But do you want to talk about truck stuff, or do you got anything else going on with that?
We probably should. I mean, I got plenty of stories of wrong name, or my dad's got the same name as me. Yeah. So they called bank called me one day and said, yeah, we're trying to make this like $700 payment, but there's not enough in your account to cover. I'm like, oh, what payment? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
I don't have any bills. Like this was many, many years ago. Let alone that much money in my account.
Yeah.
What is this bill? And it's like, oh, such and such house payment. Like, you want my dad, not me.
Yep. I've never had that issue. As far as I know, I am the only Keith Codet in the entire world. So
there's got to be more of you.
I've Googled it. I've searched it. I've whatever. The last name's uncommon enough. The first name Keith is kind of dying off. So
I'll have to look that up in here in a little bit.
Well, in fact, the second guy that came in at the Whiz Quiz place, I think he was the first Keith I've ever met younger than me.
Nice.
So I don't know.
I know a couple Keiths younger than you, actually.
I gotcha. Well, okay.
Yeah,
so,
anyways,
so going on to truck stuff. We do have some things this week, and I'm going to roll this kind of into 4x4 talk.
I was just say, I think we missed the news last week too, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that the episode before?
Did you have something for the news?
Just on Pegasus.
Well, we can get into that. Yeah, or just do that.
All right. Well,
because last week I was dying, and we probably missed a whole bunch of things. I'm still getting over it. I'm hoping we can get through an entire episode without me dying. So
we'll see. Well, you keep sipping on your apple juice there.
Yeah.
So transmission's back together finally. I felt good enough. I got out there and got it all cleaned and sealed up. let it set a couple extra days because it's cold, and RTV plus cold equals a lot of drying time.
Okay.
So I test shifted it. It shifts like a hot knife through butter.
Okay.
So now I just got to find a day where there's no snow now that I can get out there and put it back in. I haven't figured out how I'm going to get it.
Oh, it's not in the truck yet.
No, it's on the bench still. It's back together though. The trans is back together.
Okay.
So I had to clean up all the gasket sealing surfaces and put all that back together. And I never flushed the front or the rear half of the case out. So I got all the inside of the case from all the metal particulate.
Well, I'm really wishing you the best on this. I know you've gotten a lot of flack on the whole, learn how to drive a
from
manual
everybody.
thing. So I've seen it.
It's not that. I swear to God, it's not anything I did in that respect.
When you burn up this third one,
I'm going to make it a boat anchor.
Okay.
And you're going to be my first call, and we're going to talk after the episode because I keep forgetting to talk to you more about that NV4500. But that's what I'm going to do next. If this goes again, I'm tired of screwing with it.
Okay, yeah. No, I get you.
I'm getting really good at tearing it apart and putting it back together really fast.
Dude, make a side business out of it. Start rebuilding AX-15s for other people if you can get down the science of it.
Pretty much. I really don't even need the manual or anything anymore for it.
Would you do it for somebody else now?
I've talked to somebody in the past about it. I still don't think I would, just for any sort of liability reasons with it.
What if somebody were to say to you, like, this is off-road only. This is my daily driver.
If it were a friend, I'd probably do it. But I don't know. Otherwise, it's
I'm really trying to start a business here for you right now.
Yeah, and I've been discussing this with the other individual for the last year and a half. Actually, so he does run a business, and we've talked about me rebuilding them for him. He's got a pile of them. So
the other one that you could learn how to do, the 6-speed Cummins transmission, the NV5600.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shops won't touch them.
I'd have to look at that. I don't know what all it needs.
I don't know either. I have no idea. But
I've been looking at that NV4500. That doesn't seem too bad to do. And the rebuild kits are actually cheaper than the AX ones. That blew me away.
Well, I mean, next time I get a burned up one or something, I might be able to get you one that you can tinker with or something.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You got anything else for 4x4 talk? Or, 4x4 news?
Not really. Well, I have the right shocks for it now. Fox ones, I just got to get the rebuild kits.
That's awesome. Are you going to get the left ones soon?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, they're
nice.
So it's 4 right ones. They're unmarked. I think I'm just going to put the left side mount bearings in them and run them. So I got the correct shocks. I need one more lower mount that I stole from the Wrangler for the Cherokee, though. So I got to replace that, and then I got a really good deal on them. I've got to ship the guy the control arm back that was attached to them.
Okay.
But not a big deal. He helped me out with that. And to rebuild them all, I'm not looking too bad. Buying a couple of the specialty tools and all the oil to do it myself.
All right.
Still going to be less than sending them in or taking them to someone.
All right.
Figure I can probably knock them all out in an afternoon.
Okay,
so I'm
cool.
excited. I'll have good, real shocks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm excited.
Very
so
cool.
Hopefully no more smashing that oil pan. Anyways.
Yeah, no.
So I've seen you guys making some pretty cool progress on Facebook with Preston's truck.
Yeah, I've actually had for as busy as I've been at work this week, I have had a very automotive heavy week.
Nice.
So first of all, Preston's Project Z71 is now street legal.
Awesome.
It is road legal, and it runs and drives great. We actually took it for a test drive through town.
Nice.
We had to take and do a little bit of sheet metal bending. Mm-hmm. We actually got the front end pretty straight.
Nice.
So this is the truck that, if our listeners didn't know, my son got for free from his Uncle Jeff that had been cut off in the road, and they'd guardrailed it. So the passenger side was all smashed up. So it needed 2 wheels. It needed a headlight, a tail light to be street legal, and then the door and the fender and the rear fender needed to be straightened to some semblance so the tailgate would work and the front bumper wasn't dragging on the tire. Mm-hmm. So we actually, using a jack and using the Excursion and some leverage, we were able to get the front bumper probably within a 1/4 inch of factory.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. The fender,
That's awesome.
The fender's still crinkly, but it's straight enough that you can open the door.
Onto it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I hate that stuff, but whatever.
The rear bumper, same thing. We got it pulled. We posted some photos on 4x4 Talk and stuff, I think. And
so it was a video in one of them.
Yeah, video.
Yeah.
We used Project Excursion.
Nice.
We pulled the heck out of it, and we were able to. That was actually towards the tail end of the pulling and stuff. This is when I thought to video it,
Yeah.
But we ended up taking and getting, basically the rear end and the front end within all about an inch of where it was originally.
Impressive.
So it's still a little crinkled, but
yeah,
the tailgate works now. The tail light fits. The headlight fits.
Nice.
The door opens and closes on the passenger side. The truck, it works great. So
awesome.
Now the wheels that we got from you or from a buddy or whatever, I got a little bit of a complaint there, man. Okay, so you told me the one was off the rim for some reason.
Yeah, that was the one that had a hole in it somewhere.
Yeah, it had a hole I could put my fist through.
Oh.
That was not a fixable tire.
No, he said one bad one.
Yeah, that bad. Yeah, no exaggeration. But the other three, 2 out of the 3 had some of the worst rim leaks I have ever seen in my life. They leaked from the entire surface of the rim all the way around.
Apologies on that. I can talk to them, but
no, I mean, no worry. But I mean,
they may have sat for a bit. It's probably what it was. I can't speak to it. I know they were sitting there for a while before, but
hey, look it, man. I own a tire machine. We broke them down. We took a wire wheel to them. We put some bead sealer on them, and they're still holding air. So beautiful. Yeah, boom, it's done. And those ugly. So that you remember how they were chrome wheels?
Yeah, I hate that.
So we figured out, because they looked like they were permanent like that, but that was a cap over a decent-looking steel wheel.
Nice.
They're the oval style, like off-road style wheels. We pried the cap off the one. Preston loved the look of them. He cleaned them up. He's going to probably paint them black in the spring or something.
Nice.
They look like the off-road wheels.
That's cool.
So
he
was really happy with that.
Sweet.
We had thought about taking the 37s I had in the shop and putting them on Project C71, but we did some measurement, and there's no way they were going to fit. He could probably squeeze, without going to any sort of lift, maybe a 33 to a 35.
Nice.
So, he might do that.
Yeah.
Because the tires that we got from you are probably an inch smaller than what was already on it.
Okay.
So, he'd like to kind of do something a little bit with it.
Yeah.
But hey, the kid's got a run and driving Z71
That's awesome.
that he currently has. Well, he personally, because he got everything for Christmas and his birthday for it, he personally has no money into it right now. And he'll probably have less than a couple $100 in by the time he titles it and plates it.
Sweet.
And good chance it's going to need a new battery, because every time it sits for more than a week or so, the battery needs to be jumped. So
just go fire it up every couple days for a bit. It'll be fine.
I told him that right now. I said, just go out there every couple days, fire that thing up.
That's what buddy's got to do with his diesel right now. He put new batteries in it last year, and it's already, if it sits a week, it's dead.
Is what it is, man.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
But
annoying problem, but
did you have anything else in 4x4 news? You said we kind of skipped the 4x4 news section.
Not really. No, not that I can think of.
I think we're probably getting to that break time.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure. Am I wrong?
Oh,
I don't know. Producer Andrew's kind of looking. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's do that real quick, and then I want to tell you about the next thing that happened in my 4x4 life.
Sounds good. I'm interested.
Hey, it sounds like it's time to swap out that old engine for something better, John.
Yeah, man, but I have so much into my trans and transfer case set up already. I don't want to change those too.
Sounds like you need to call Quick Draw Brand Adapters. They specialize in conversion bell housings for nearly all diesel and gasoline engines, including the new 2.8R Cummins.
I like weird engines though. I want something different.
Then you definitely need to visit QuickDrawBrand.com today. They have those hard-to-find parts. They also have used diesel engines available. You can call them at 513-446-9654.
Cool, I'll do that. See what they have. Thanks.
So you know that last week I was just dying.
Of the plague.
Plague, coronavirus, whatever.
Did you catch Lyme disease and it canceled itself out?
It is still hanging in there, but it's nowhere near as bad.
Yeah, you sound all right tonight.
Probably the very worst of it, which I thought the worst of it was about the time we were podcasting. No, it got worse.
Oh, really?
It got to the point where I couldn't talk, and then Saturday and Sunday, I could barely do anything. I still did stuff. I actually did Saturday was the day I worked on Project C71, but I was just, or no, it wasn't Saturday. It was Sunday. Never mind. Okay. But yeah, I was just about dead. So Sunday, I had planned on doing nothing. Slept in a little bit, got up, kind of milling around. I'm out laying on the couch. I'm playing on my phone a little bit. And let me back this up. You wouldn't know the hassle of this, but I'm going to admit something.
Okay.
Here. I don't know if this makes me a bad father or what.
Uh-oh.
So, I come home from work Friday night. We're eating dinner, milling around, and I'm like, where's Preston? Stephanie's like, he's out of town. My 15-year-old son's out of town.
Okay.
Where is he? Oh, he's in Bay City. For how long? Oh, for the weekend. Well, why is he in Bay City? So she's like, oh, he's got that band thing or whatever,
Band camp?
Or I think she said drama thing or whatever, And I'm like, this person, she said, no. They all told you. I said, no, he told me about something that they might do. But the way he said it, I thought they were talking about the spring or summer. No. They're all swearing that they told me this. Now, mind you,
you did have coronavirus, so
I've been exactly. I've been living off of Sudafed and Mucinex for the last 2 weeks.
Great combination.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a possibility. I'm like, you're telling me this kid's out of town? I'm like, how'd he get there? Oh, he drove with friends. Well, where are they staying? At a hotel. Where'd he get the money for that? I don't know. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't care.
I'll see him when he gets home.
I'll see him when he gets home. For all I know, he was in Vegas all weekend.
It's possible.
I have no idea.
Sounds like fun.
But
never been. But here's things.
Sunday morning, I text him and I'm like, "How's the trip going?" Yeah, it's going great. When you coming home? We're on our way home right now. Okay, cool. We're talking a little bit. So I'm chilling, laying on the couch. Text me. He's like, "What are you doing right now?" I'm like, just laying on the couch. He's like, "Well, are you home? So you're home?" Yeah.
Should have said no. I'm at the shop in the truck.
Yeah.
So,
could you?
I'm at Walmart.
Could you go to the high school? You need to be picked up. No. Well, what's up? The band trailer. They have an enclosed trailer. The band trailer and truck.
I meant to ask about that. Yeah.
Is stuck. So I'm thinking, well, what do you need? And he's like, well, can you go help him? Okay, whatever. Apparently, because I'm a 4x4 guy.
I get calls like that as well.
So I feel like absolute death. I managed to put on actual clothes besides pajamas, go over there and find the father of one of the band students has got an F-150. It is buried to the hubs. And he's got the trailer hooked behind it in the lawn of the high school. And I'm like, what is going on here? Oh, well, we pulled up because we thought we could get closer, but this is really soft in here.
Really?
Yeah. And he's every bit of 200 feet from the nearest pavement. And I'm like, oh, man, this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, he had 3 or 4 toe straps that he had apparently left and bought. He told me he drove out of town, bought them, came back. It still wasn't enough to get there. Yeah. I had 2 with me. It still wasn't enough. So
that's where he busted out the chains.
Well, against all, and that's the thing. Chains should never be used for recovering vehicles because of the danger of them.
Oh yeah, it's interesting.
It's sketchy.
Yeah.
I happen to have a 30-foot chain for my job in the back of my truck or back of Project Excursion, so that got broken out, and that was just enough to reach.
Nice.
So put it in 4-low, and I told him, I said, this is sketchy. I said, we have like 5 shackles on here. We've got a couple of, toe straps that are very cheap box store toe straps.
Are they those ones that are like super thin and really long?
Oh, yeah, a couple of those.
I'm so
and then
uncomfortable
my good
around
ones.
those.
And then I've got a chain on there. I said, if something lets go, I said, I'm going to
cover your face.
I said, I'm going really slow and everybody needs to be the other way. So put it in 4-low and just pulled back and back. And, Thank God we got them out of there. We got them pulled out. Everybody's safe and sound. Got the trailer. Project Excursion worked like a champ. It was pulling pretty hard too.
I believe it.
And no, I said, I'm not. He's like, oh, we can do a couple jerks. I said, I'm not jerking anything on this combination. I said, this is going to be slow, steady pulling, and that's all it's going to be. So
at least throw a couple jackets over the whole thing for a damper. Or?
Well, no, that's what I wanted to kind of talk about. We don't need to get into a whole recovery thing here, but I'm just going to admit right here, I broke my own rule. I used a chain twice this week because I used one to do Preston's C71 as well.
Oh, that's a little different.
But yeah, it was like a 3-foot chain. But I used a chain, multiple shackles, a cheap, questionable dime store straps. I mean, the whole thing was sketchy. It got it done. But I guess just lessons learned from that is to be prepared. I should have asked some questions before I went over there. Yeah. Because in my garage, I do have a number of non-stretching equipment straps that could have been used for that because they're 30,000 pound rated, something like that.
That's what I carry in mine. I got a 20-foot, 3-inch wide. It was part of a crane cradle strap. I've got that, some 15,000 pound quick connects, and then a couple 3/4-inch heavy duty D-rings.
Those can always be used, but it is important to know that they are non-stretching straps and not to jerk on them.
Yeah.
And I do know guys that carry those and they write right on them with a marker, do not stretch or do not jerk, or whatever. And that way people know.
Yeah.
And that's just a safety thing because you start jerking on some of those, they get frayed. The stitching is not meant for that kind of force and it can be dangerous.
Yeah. I've seen those things explode.
It's not good.
No, it's sketchy, and it's one of those, another butt time we were off-roading, and, the other guy got stuck, so we hooked his strap up to our truck, and, the one guy's going, and my buddy and I, we heard the noise. I mean, the best description I can give you, it sounded like knuckles cracking.
Oh, yeah.
You hear that, you see a stretch, and it's one of those look at each other like, uh-oh, and we both ran. And a couple seconds later, the strap just poof.
That was a non-stretching strap?
I don't know what it was. It was a nylon strap, and it just, you heard it pop. And, it frayed everywhere. It was impressive. I've never actually seen it before that. It's kind of scary, though. There's a lot of force behind that thing.
I was on a wheeling trip years ago, and who knows, maybe this guy's listening, but he had I think it was a YJ, and he had custom bumpers, like 2 bumpers with D-rings on them. He was stuck out in a swampy area, and the straps all came out. And he said, I got a couple of them because he was kind of a long pull.
Yeah.
Put a couple straps together. It's always best to loop them through each other and put a stick in them than to put D-rings. Because the D-rings themselves, if something breaks, become
you have a projectile now. Yeah.
Exactly. But I want to say that D-rings, it might not have, but we didn't know. No one there knew that the strap that he hooked up, the 20-foot-ish strap that he hooked up directly to his vehicle was a non-stretching strap. And then they hooked a stretching strap to it. And so a couple of heavy jerks. I actually had my GMC Jimmy, the one that was on 1-ton axles. And I'm jerking and I'm jerking and I'm jerking and we're getting him back. And I noticed about the 3rd or 4th pull that my strap was stretching, but his wasn't. And I thought to myself, because at the time I don't want to say I was dumb to the fact that there was non-stretching straps, but maybe I just thought to myself, because it was a thicker, because I think I was using like maybe a 3-inch toe strap and this thing was like a 4-inch sling or something. I'm thinking, it's probably because his is beefier or something. Well, I rip it one more time and his entire back bumper comes off, but not just the bumper, it was welded to his frame. It took the last like 3 inches of his frame with it.
Holy crap.
And then the eyelet on his strap, when we inspected everything, was down to like the last couple of threads as well, the last couple of stitches. So because we were jerking on that, all that force of my stretching strap not only broke the eyelet on his non-stretching larger strap, but which was probably rated for 30 or 40,000 pounds. It was like a machinery lift strap.
Yeah,
it ripped the frame right off of his YJ as well.
Jeez.
And there's nothing you do. He was like, this really sucks, but he knew that was, you're off-roading. That's what you get into.
Yeah.
But that was just the thing, though. So yeah, after Preston got me woke up and and pulling out the band truck and trailer, I came back and we worked on Z71 all day.
That's cool.
But yeah, so there was just a lot of that. Speaking of which, though, and this is important, I guess, because we're talking right now about recovery, and we're talking about D-rings or clevises. They sometimes call them shackles. They call them.
Yeah,
all the same thing. There are technically differences between those.
Generally speaking, it's an interchangeable term, though.
It's an interchangeable term. So, we're talking about the pin. There's a couple things. I had to teach a couple of my guys at work this week about those. You never pull from the side of them. And what I'm saying is you have one part of what you're pulling on the top loop. So like the bottom of the horseshoe, I guess is what you would say. Okay. And you also have one pulling part on the pin. If you turn it sideways, you can stretch it. It doesn't work right.
It'll deform.
It can deform. It can break.
Yeah.
So you always do that, no matter if you're lifting something, even in the garage, or if you're using it as a recovery thing. That's something you have to do. And then the other thing is, and a lot of guys, this is counterintuitive to us as car guys, because we end up taking and we want to just like crank down everything.
I was going to continue.
Well, go ahead. No, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, with any of those, you never, ever, ever, ever want to wrench them tight. The general rule, hand tight and back it off quarter turn or so.
Quarter to half a turn, exactly. Because I had that happen this week. We were rigging some steel out of an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Guys bringing it down. Go down and do it. I'm like, man, what did you use, a pipe wrench on this thing? Hammer, 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 hammer. And then we get it out, and the pin itself, now the threads have been messed up on it because they've pulled so hard.
Yeah, it's a junk shackle at that point.
It's junk. So
we've used those a couple times on the boat, and in that case, we need to crank it. But it's so counterintuitive to everything I know from off road that when I'm down there with the wrench trying to tighten this, it's like this feels wrong.
What case? Why would you need to tighten it?
Setting a line. So we loop the chain around something on the rack and put it through that, and then tighten it up.
That's still not correct way to do it.
Not exactly.
You put wire. You cage it is what you do. So you take.
Well, we tighten it and then zip tie it.
Okay.
So we put a zip tie from the little nut thing back onto itself. So
I'm not going to tell you it's the right way to do it, but it's fine, I guess.
It works for what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive to how you think with that, anyways. And unfortunately, that particular day, that was all we had. So
back to this whole excursion recovery thing.
Yeah.
And this is not hasn't to do with the shackles or anything, but something else. This is just a learning thing, and I think that most people that listen to our show probably know this. People use the term locker wrong quite a bit.
Okay.
So the guy that was out there, I get out. I lock in my lockable hubs on the front axle of my excursion. He says, "Oh, this is getting serious. You're engaging the locker." That's not engaging the locker.
No.
A locking hub is engaging the front axle.
Yeah.
So, and I've actually heard that over the years. I've heard people say, I've got lockers on it, or vehicles for sale. It's got front lockers. No, it does not have front lockers. It's got lockout hubs.
Yeah.
There's a difference. A locker is a device that sends power equally to both front wheels or to both rear wheels. It does not.
Yeah.
If you've got the little switch, that's just a lockout hub. That does not mean that it's better for off-road.
And there's only one per axle.
It's just the design that you have.
Yeah.
So,
and within that, then there's all kinds of different types.
Producer Andrew's over there, and what is he doing?
I think he's angry with us.
I don't know. He's up to something.
He shook his head. Yes.
So I know that we're kind of going all over the place a little bit today, but these experiences, and I know a lot of our listeners like these experiences, and you learn things from them, and you're always learning from different things, and you're helping to teach things. I think that it would be interesting with this episode to maybe give a couple of spoilers if any of our listeners want to chime in on a couple of future episodes. What do you think?
Yeah, that works. I think we should probably take a little break, though, before we do that, because I'm Well, I mean, I've still got water, but I think that's probably why he's standing there.
Okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, we don't have to. We can just keep going, but we're going to risk pissing him off more.
All right.
And then he's just going to shut us off.
Let's take a word from our sponsor, and then we'll come back.
Sounds good.
Spring. It means so many things. Birds, flowers, warmer temperatures, and let's not forget, bugs! Don't let pesky bugs take over your home. Call ABC Home and Commercial Services. They have the solution for your spiders, wasps, box elder bugs, Asian lady beetles, cluster flies, and more. ABC Home and Commercial Services, the best in pests. Call 810-794-5678.
You live?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I just choked on the water.
Oh, okay. Choked on the water. So we've got... this is episode 43.
Okay, I'll take it.
We didn't play on numbers on this one. I did think about, there's a lot of interesting developments in four-wheel drive history and regular history that go through World War II. Mm-hmm. So 41, 42, 43, 45. And I figured we don't want to have like these, we're not like huge World War II buffs. So it's not like we wanted to do this whole, we already did the 41 for the Jeep.
Yeah.
That was good enough. 44. I was thinking.
Wait, are we supposed to announce spoiler alert before we do this?
Spoiler
or is that
alert?
just for like TV and movies?
Oh, it could be, or YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're thinking about.
If you care about that kind of thing, this is a spoiler alert just in case.
We're thinking about talking about for the next episode Dana 44s.
I like it.
They are probably, arguably, one of the most popular off-road axles of all time.
Yeah.
I think more people have probably run Dana 44s than have even run Dana 60s.
Yeah.
Or, say, Toyota axles or Samurai axles or things like that.
You know what? We should talk to our good buddy Lucas about his trials and tribulations with Dana 44s, maybe.
If we can get him. I tried to get him to come to the museum the other day, so I don't know. We'll see.
Huh.
We'll see. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
And then, now I want to roll this kind of into museum minutes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're still doing these This Day in Off-Road History posts, which we've mentioned on the last couple of podcasts have been just taking off.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to play with the hashtags and see if it was the hashtags, because our most viral post yet was the 48 F1 Marmon Harrington post that talked about when the F-Series truck was introduced.
Yeah.
Well, that post there's still people commenting on that post and sharing it to this day. So, and there's
very cool
50, 60,000 shares, views, something like that. It just keeps going. Well, we had another This Day in Off-Road History post a couple days ago. Was the anniversary of when Ford F-Series trucks became for the 10th year in the row, the best-selling vehicle in America. And so, that was pretty cool. And that was in 1992. We posted about that because that was the anniversary of that happening. And we used some of the same hashtags. Not all the same, though, but the same thing. Now, that post has not been as popular as the 48 F1 post, but it's still gotten way up there.
Yeah.
Which is telling me that either, there's just either one of those hashtags is like magical, or that when it comes down to I guess social media like Instagram and Facebook at least, because we are getting pretty big on Instagram with the museum now.
Nice.
That Ford F-Series people are, I don't know. Maybe they're more on those. I'm not sure. So we were kind of thinking, and you seem to like the idea of episode 48, which will be about a month from now, us doing a F-Series tribute episode.
Yeah, I love that idea.
And, so I'm thinking that gives us plenty of time. If we got listeners out there, like if we got a listener out there that's huge into the F-Series and maybe is a collector or something and wants to come onto the show, we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, get a hold of us on Facebook or email us something.
Yeah, info@wheelinradio.com, I think is the email.
Send us some contact information. We'll get a hold of you, kind of talk about it and go over some stuff.
Or if you're like, hey, here's this really cool part about F-Series history that I think you guys need to talk about, that I want you to go on 4x4 Talk.
Yes.
Or one of reach out to us somehow. The last episode, you went over all of our social medias, the Twitter, the Instagram, everything.
And I left that note sheet at home.
That's all right, though. I'm gonna tell people, because we've had people reach out to us through all the social media platforms. It's easiest to reach out to us through Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram, for whatever reason, we don't always get the notifications if you've commented or sent us a message. So send us a message through Facebook, or even just email us or call us, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, I just really want to hear this about the F-Series truck, or this is a really cool part of the F-Series history, episode 48, you got a month till it comes out.
Yes,
and
please let us know.
We might come up with some other, what else cool could we really do for the F-Series? I know you're not a big Ford guy. I drive an F-Series, but you got to respect that they have been like the best-selling truck for years.
They've been around forever, and that's absolutely deserving of respect, regardless of what brand you are, loyalty.
Exactly.
It's a huge thing. They've been around forever. Like you said, they've got so many number one records, over the years.
Yeah.
And, it's impressive.
Oh, you know what? And this is my ADD here, and we're not. Anyways, back to the Ford thing. Yeah, so get
a hold of us.
We're going to do that
through one of those mediums. Let us know what you want to hear. If you've got any interesting facts, any bullet points, absolutely hit this. Let us know.
Comment on YouTube.
Or that, comment on YouTube.
That's a good way. Comment on YouTube if you want to. If you are not seeing us on YouTube yet or follow us on YouTube, comment on there and say, hey, for episode 48, I really want you to do this. Boom, boom, boom. Speaking of things kind of getting back to us, I'm calling around trying to get some parts. Project Excursion. Did I talk about the pulley on the last episode?
No, I don't think so.
So there's something else that happened. This must have been the last week. Yeah. I'm driving home. Everything's normal. Pull in. This would have been.
Maybe you did.
Went to go get oil changes.
I don't remember.
I'm not going to extrapolate it too much.
Yeah, just tell it again.
Well, yeah, I went to go get an oil change on Excursion and on Tracker. Stephanie Chevy Tractor.
I was just say, did you just call it by the proper name?
I know, bad, huh? And we went to go leave, and she fires up her vehicle. We go down to local oil change shop, which there's a double connection there, actually. But they charge less than I could do it myself for. And the guys that work there are like straight up gearheads, and they're friends of mine. And this is a side note. Remember how I told you on the last episode that I had been invited to join a car club?
Yeah,
that was invitation only. That's actually the guys at the oil change place.
Nice.
They're involved with that car club.
Nice.
I did go to the meeting. They all came down to the museum that evening.
Oh, cool.
And they really like what we're doing. They love what they're doing. They've invited me to be part of. I still don't want to name the name in case, whatever. That'll come in a future episode. But I believe I'm going to be part of that car club now. They keep asking me to be involved in other things and whatnot. So, but anyways, mainly these two guys who run the local chapter of that car club run this oil change shop. And so I'm down there. So we went to go leave. Fire up Project Excursion. I'm like, I had no power steering, no brakes. What the heck's going on? I pop the hood, belts off. I'm like, what's going on here?
Interesting.
And I look over, and the wheel on the tensioner pulley is missing. And I had this problem with my old Excursion where I couldn't even get the pulley. But I'm like, well, yeah, because it was like back ordered or whatever, and also because of the Ford International split. Ford dealers couldn't get it. And they even said maybe go to an international place, although it was a Ford only part, or I don't know. But anyway, so I go down to a local big box store that you may or may not used to work for, and they're like, well, we can't get the pulley. They haven't been available for 5 years, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, They're like, we can sell you the entire tensioner setup, but it's like 5 times the money.
That's what most places do. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. So I call local auto parts store, Bracket Auto Parts. I mentioned the local CarQuest kind of, I think they were CarQuest. I think they're owned by Advance now. But I call up, I know the owner of the place, and I call him up, and I'm like, hey, Matt, I'm like, I need this pulley. Can you get it? And he's like, hey, it's back ordered nationwide, or it's not available. He's like, I can get the tensioner for you. You have to go to a different store, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but hey, I wanted to tell you that international episode you guys did, which we actually shouted out to him because he drives that really clean one.
Nice.
And remember, that was one of our most popular episodes.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, that was a really cool episode. You guys covered a lot of information. That was really neat. I said, I didn't even know you listened to our podcast.
That's awesome.
He's like, yeah. He's like, I love it. I says, oh, okay, thanks, man. So I'm gonna do a shout out again to Matt at Bracket Auto Parts.
Absolutely.
And you know, I have been going to that auto parts store for 30 years now. They're right down the road from where I grew up. I used to hang out there when I was 12, 13 years old. Didn't even have a car. You know, these guys used to buy me lunch, and we'd hang out there talking cars and stuff like that. He's been there ever since then. He bought it from the original owner, Ed Brackett, who's stepped out now, and Matt now owns it. And I tell you what, they are – I have called them or even walked in. It's that local small – gearhead store mentality. I've walked in and I've been like, I'm trying to build this and I need this that fits this. And he pulls out the old books, the ones you can't even get anymore, starts going through and he's like, well, this part from an 84 blah, 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 it's got the same spline count and the same blah, blah, blah as this you need. That should probably work. That kind of guy.
That's awesome.
I'm going to do that big shout out right now to Bracket Auto Parts of Algonac, Michigan.
Absolutely. That's I haven't been there. I've been there once or twice with you, I think, and even just hearing that about a place, I can appreciate that is the knowing to do that, to find something like that, and not have to say, "Let me check the computer," is a lost art.
It absolutely is.
You know, computers, they make it easier and faster, but they're not always right. You know, a lot of those books, I'm not saying the books are infallible either, but a lot was more correct there, and just that you can do that.
Well, I mean, and part of it is not just the books, but it's also the encyclopedic knowledge of being a car guy.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Matt's really into Oldsmobiles, but but he has some tractors and and the international 4x4 and stuff, the Travelall.
Yeah.
But you know, I remember years ago walking in one day and I was just frustrated because I was trying to, I had a 56 Chevy kind of rat rod project and I was trying to go to a dual reservoir master cylinder.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't own a welder. I didn't have many fabricating tools. So pretty much all my modifications were bolt on.
Okay.
And I went in and I said, I can't find anything, and this is probably even before the internet was real big. So this is probably 90s, you know. Okay. And I went in and I said, I can't figure out what to do here because I don't want to use a stock single master cylinder anymore. I'm trying to do this and this. He just looks at me and he goes, well, let me see your old ones. I sat on the counter and he looks at it and he's like, He's like, I bet one from a 65 Chevy Nova would work. And I'm like, that's the most random thing I've ever heard. He's like, I think I got one in stock. Let me go check. Grabs one, throws it on the counter. Sure enough, bolted right up.
That's awesome.
And, you know, that the stopping power of that car was improved. And just to be able to click off the top of your head, you know, go, okay, I think this is going to work. He's gotten me custom clutches before. He's gotten me all sorts of things. I'm sad that I don't actually, I live in the next town north now, and I still do go to the box store because it's literally around the corner from me. But I try to go there whenever I'm in town or whenever I need something. And I'm not buying as many parts as I used to. Yeah. New, but, you know, like I said, Matt at Bracket Auto, you know, he's been great over the years. But
there was one local place to me, local old school auto parts place. I mean, you go in there and you know those metal cans, like the old Quaker State metal cans you used to be able to get oil in?
Oh, we have some in the museum.
They were still on the shelf for sale there at this place.
Oh, really?
It's been there a long time. And I don't know how he managed to hang on, but he held out for a long time. And unfortunately, he's since closed.
Oh, okay.
But I'll talk a little more off the air about why. But
okay, I got you.
It was one of those. If you need an oddball part for an older vehicle, chances are it's on the shelf.
Was that in your town or the town just south of you?
Just south of me, southeast-ish.
I think I know the store.
On Gratiot?
No.
Okay, different place then.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
No.
No, they had some awesome stuff in there. Actually, I mean, it was cool. I miss it already, and I didn't go in there a lot. It was more for work at the time. But like I said, every now and then they had something we needed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I back to the project excursion thing with the pulley. I did get the part. Unfortunately, like I said, Matt had to send me to a store that was in the next town north, and I happened to be at the counter of the box store, and I just looked at the guy and he says, we've got it in stock, and I said, their price is cheaper. And he goes, what's their price? And I said, it's this. And he goes, I can match that. And I said, fine, because I needed to get on the road within like a half an hour because I had a meeting that I had to go to.
Yeah.
I feel bad that I didn't use, obviously the money wouldn't have gone back to Matt anyways, because I would have been using his store on that. But, just, I did get Project Excursion going.
Nice.
Real quick. I did buy the entire stupid assembly. When I pulled
Sometimes
it off,
you got to do what you got to do, though.
Yeah, it's got two pulleys on it. The other pulley did feel a little gritty, so hopefully that's it.
Usually and unfortunately with that kind of stuff, if one's gone, the other's not far behind anyways.
Well, I was hoping too when I got home, and I could have returned the other part, but when I got home, when it happened on the old excursion, I discovered that the idler pulley, if you pulled it off the bracket from a Cummins diesel engine, even though it's like half an inch smaller in diameter, bolts on and worked.
Oh, I believe it.
And I had a bunch of old Cummins parts in the barn, but unfortunately, all the pulleys were gone.
Gotcha.
So I
That's one thing I hoard pulleys.
Yeah.
I have a big stack of they're bad bearings in them. You can get the bearings for like $10 or less. And 2 sockets, you can pop it out and pop it in. I mean, it's really easy.
You might have been able to fix this one. We were, Stephanie and I were questioning it because we go, well, how come it didn't happen like on the way home or something? I didn't notice this. I found my pulley flung off of Project Excursion about 15 feet away from it in the snow in our driveway. It had come off as I pulled in from work the previous night.
I had that going to work one day. I get halfway to work. And check engine light comes on. I'm like, what the hell? I look at my temp gauge is just pegged. It was about 3/4 of the way to work. It's like, well, I'm this close to work. At this point, it's not going to be any difference to go home or stop it here or just get there. And once I get there, 1, I'm at work, and 2, work at an auto place. Well, I'll get it fixed before I go home.
Well, there you go.
And we get there. Well, I get there, and I park it, and I go and punch in. Says, I got to take a quick look at my truck. It overheated, and I noticed the battery just dropped.
Oh,
and I watched it climbing down, and it was harder than heck to steer that thing. And pulling the lot, pop the hood, look under. My belt's all tangled up and knotted up around the fan pulley, and it was the tensioner pulley seized up through the belt, and it ate it. And I ended up what was it? We needed a tensioner pulley, the idler pulley, and the belt. So the idler just had probably 3/8 of an inch of movement. I don't know how it was still attached. And the next day, go back. Something happened, on my way to work again. Started seeing it overheating a bit. Get there, park, and immediately see coolant just pouring out. Something happened when the belt wrapped around it. It must have slipped under the water pump.
Okay.
So I had to have the water pump done the next day.
Oh, jeez.
But thankfully, it all happened when I was just about to work both days in a row. So that sucked. But what better place to have it happen than behind a repair shop?
True. I want to finish this out on one more, because I know we're getting close to that time, but I want to finish this out on one more quick story.
Yep.
And this actually goes back to Matt at Bracket Auto again, believe it or not. So I was driving that old 56 Chevy, which, by the way, I sold that car about 6 years ago. To a gentleman in Canada, and I think I may want to try to track it down, see if I can purchase it back someday.
Is that the one that we drove up from Ohio the one weekend? It was on one of our dive trips at the quarry.
Yes, the old red 56 Chevy.
I remember driving back with you in that weekend.
I think of the hundreds of cars and trucks I've owned, I would like to get that car back someday.
Nice.
There's a red 56 Chevy 210 with a white vinyl interior.
Nice.
But it was kind of an old rat rod. I put over 200,000 miles on it. Well, anyways, I was driving it in college. I had it since high school all the way through a few years ago. And I'm driving it on my way to college one day, and just like you kind of described, now with me, I didn't have power steering or power brakes on this thing.
Yeah.
But I happened to look down at my gauges, and I'm not charging, and the car's getting hot. I said, what the heck's going on? So I pull over. Well, that car, when I bought it, still had the original 12-volt generator, not alternator. It had a generator. Well, the generator had seized up, and the belt had thrown off. Now, I immediately figured that out. I'm like, well, I can't put a belt on it because of the generator. So, trail side repair, although it was on the side of the freeway, pulled my boot lace out, tied it as tight as I could.
Nice.
Around the lower harmonic balancer pulley and then the
water pump
pulley.
Yep.
And drove it, and it held out until halfway on my way home after school that day. It did go on the way home, but so I went down, so that was my trail side repair with this boot lace on there. But I went down to Bracket Auto Parts, and I said to Matt, I need a generator for this thing. And he says, you don't want to put another generator. He says, the car's not all original. It's like a rat rod, He goes, just put an alternator on it. And I says, well, all right. Now, I was this young kid. I was 19, 20 at the time. And I May 18, 17, 18, because I graduated high school in 17. I was probably like 18. He goes, you're going to want to just throw a one-wire GM alternator on there. And I said, well, what's a one-wire? He said, well, it's just one-wire hookup. He took the time to come out, show me on my car, like how to hook it up. He sold me dirt cheap some like brackets that he had like on the shelf there that had been collecting dust or whatever. He had me going by the end of the day, showed me everything to do, went home in my driveway a couple blocks away, put it all together. That's just not the kind of service you get at a big box store.
Not too many, no. Unfortunately, a lot of those guys don't know much beyond the computer.
Exactly.
I'll admit I worked with a lot of them. And it's no offense to them. That's unfortunately the way a lot of people are.
Well, even there, he showed me he's like, you got a voltage regulator on here. You got to remove that, and you need to wire around. You need to plug into this wire to go to the alternator. And
I was able to do that with a number of people with my experiences with Jeeps.
Exactly.
Obviously, predominantly in that, but unfortunately, there's just so few people that know anymore. It's sad to see it happening that way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're left to our own stuff. Anything I need anymore, I have to go in with a part number. That's mostly because, I Frankenstein everything, but it's easier than saying, I've got this, I need this to fit this.
Before you give us our traditional sign off, then I would like to say that your small town auto parts guys and girls in some cases are national treasures.
Absolutely.
And if you don't give them your business, you're going to lose these national treasures.
Yeah, I don't think there's any near me anymore, unfortunately. It's all big box places.
So keep that in mind. That person behind the counter, and a lot of these places price match as best as they can and things like that. But even if they don't do that,
you're going to get a better quality of service than you will at a big box place. Because they have the knowledge, they have the experience.
Pay the extra couple bucks.
Yeah.
If it is an extra couple bucks.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's truly worth it.
And even if it's not, try to buy the things there that you can buy, your oil, your antifreeze, whatever.
Yeah.
So
there's too many of those going out, and it's sad.
Producer Andrew's been looking at us for like 15 minutes. Mr. Orange.
I see that one too. Thanks for listening, and have a good one, everybody.